You ever feel like you're just stuck in a constant cycle with credit cards? You pay them off just to use them again? Maybe you're trying to help build credit, or maybe you're just trying to use them to cover daily expenses. But somehow that balance never seems to go away, or it feels like it's getting higher and higher. Today we're going to cover why credit cards might be your worst enemy or your greatest tool if you know how to use them right. My name is Gleason Jones, and I've been in the finance field from mortgages to real estate to personal finance for over 10 years. And I'm here to help you kind of break down some personal savings, personal finances, and just simplify that and make life easier for you. So let's start with the first of a never-ending cycle. Now, you might have originally gotten a credit card to get the rewards or to build up your credit. But now it seems like you're using them and relying on it for just daily expenses, and it's just more and more and more. Now, I know that personally because I did the same thing in two different situations. My first one was when I first started my business. It was a coffee company and then turned into a coffee shop. I was relying on credit cards to help cover all of the costs of building it up and getting supplies. I didn't take out a regular loan, which in hindsight might have been the better route. I was relying on credit cards that I had through the company, as well as personal credit cards. This really started to hurt whenever the profits weren't going up as what I thought they would be. Now, it was something I had to kind of live with and try to deal with because it seemed like every time I was doing good at the coffee shop, all of a sudden those cards were knocking on the door saying like, pay us back, give us our money, and all those profits would go away, and then I'd have to go back into using the credit cards to be able to afford those supplies. And so that constant cycle is you basically trying to pay off those cards, but the money you've used to pay off those cards, whether it be from your job, whether it be from your own business, or just some extra money that you had saved up, seems to go away. And then just like every other thing in the world, something else unexpected comes up, or maybe you didn't realize something was coming, and now you're using them just to cover the expense because the money you had for that expense is now sunk into paying off a credit card. And this can really devastate you, whether it be financially, emotionally. Like I said, I was using it for a business, as well as after I sold the business, I got into real estate, and that hurt me because I didn't have as much saved up as I thought I needed. And so I'm relying on credit cards to help get me through slower months, especially when first starting out. Now, another big thing that people don't think about is how those interest rates get you stuck a lot longer than you think. The average interest rate right now is around 29% or something around there. That's what mine were. And those are devastating, especially the higher those balances go. That 29% starts adding up basically double or maybe triple of what you're paying on your minimum monthly payment. So you pay off that minimum, it goes down an inch, and then you have another foot that goes on top of that. And it feels like it's gonna be 5, 10, 15 years before you could ever even pay it off, which is what credit card companies are hoping for. They hope you rely on them. They hope that you're not paying off the whole card. I remember the last time I paid off my final card, I told them, I'm not paying the monthly, I'm gonna be paying off the entire card. And they were like, no, you should just pay that minimum, make sure you pay that, and then if you wanna pay that later, that's fine, but make sure you just pay the minimum. That way they get the interest charge, and then I'm paying off even more after that. Now, another big thing that people don't realize about credit cards is those free perks and the rewards and all of that cash back that you get doesn't always come without a catch. Rarely does it ever. Whether it's you get rewards on travel, or you get perks at this store, or you get cash back from spending here, it's not quite what it seems. Now, think about it this way. If you go spend $100 at a store, right? You're trying to just spend that $100. But when it comes to the interest and when it comes to these perks, you start paying closer to $150 to $200. And that can add up very, very quickly. Like, think about these rewards. If you are really not trying to spend too much on it, but the reward says spend $6,000 in a 2-month period or a 90-day period, you're thinking, I can spend that. I spend that on all of this anyway. So then it becomes like free money. I'm gonna get $100 back because I spent 6 grand. Not the best reward, but when you think about you're already gonna spend that, it just entices you and says, yeah, I'm already gonna do that anyway, let me get something out of it. Until that something that's out of it isn't quite what it seems. And like I said, when doing this, that swiping instead of actually handing over cash or using a debit card is a psychological game that they're betting you're not gonna win. Because it's a lot easier to use pretend money on a credit card than to actually hand over cash or see that amount immediately come out of your bank account. And when doing that, spending money that you don't have is a very dangerous game. And thinking about it logically, everybody understands that. Spending the money I don't have on something that I don't really need, but I feel like I can get something even more out of it, just keeps going and going until one day you wake up and you're $30,000, $40,000 stuck in credit card debt. I'm the same way. The second time that I had my credit cards, I was using them for daily and personal expenses. And I really started to get out of hand with it, especially when I started getting checks from my real estate career. I could pay that off and I felt good. I was like, I'm responsible, I can do this. I actually really want this, but I don't want to pay for it all at once. Let me pay for it over time. Now that wasn't a huge reason I used them. I only did that a few times, but those few times added up and caught up to me quick. Now that doesn't happen to everybody. Sometimes you're a lot more responsible, but that's not what the credit card companies are betting on. They're betting that if you're spending $6,000 here and you're gonna get $500 back or whatever maybe the rewards or perk or cash back is, well, you're not gonna pay for it at that next time, so you let it roll over and roll over and roll over until all of a sudden that $5,000, $6,000 purchase really costs closer to $7,000 to $8,000, but in your mind, it was only $6,000, $5,500 because you got $500 back. And that psychological warfare is intense. Now, there are some good perks that you can get from these places. Like let's say that you use it for a grocery store and that is all that you use it for, or maybe cash back at the gas pump. You pay it off monthly before it ever comes out and you're getting 5% basically a discount from these credit cards. That's a huge plus, especially with rising costs, but that's not how the average consumer uses it. And that's when it can be a great reward and a great tool compared to just being money wasted and credit and debt building up. Now, like I said, from personal experience, credit card debt is like a silent killer. It brings anxiety, depression, and you just are terrified, it feels like. Now, some people are so used to it because they've been in credit card debt for so long that it doesn't bother them. But I was in it for 2-3 years and having constant calls, having the fear of something going to collection, it was really starting to weigh down on me. It changed who I was and who I was to family, friends a lot. It's because I was in that constant mental torment of worrying about, am I gonna be able to make this payment? How am I gonna pay the rest of this off? It goes back to that endless cycle of I'm paying off a little, but more keeps adding up. And a lot of that comes from that illusion of it's just fake money. You don't ever see the cash. All you do is get a bill. And it seems like, oh, that'll be covered. I only have to pay X amount for it, again, until everything starts building up. And that's why credit cards can be your biggest enemy. Now, I still have a couple that are from in the past, and I've gotten a lot better about being more responsible for them. I can't tell you exactly what yours is gonna be because it's a personal thing. If you look at people like Dave Ramsey or Graham Stephan, they have two completely different mentalities based on credit cards. Now, Graham Stephan's comes a lot more from, he has personal success stories. He uses it responsibly, he uses it properly. Dave Ramsey has seen a lot of people who have not. And I'm kind of stuck in the middle, where if you're not using it properly, like I have in the past, then you should not get a credit card. I've had success stories from it, from where I've paid them off, and I've gotten a lot better about it. Well, if you're using it that way, then it's a great tool. Like I said, for gas, groceries. So I'm kind of stuck in the middle, and that's okay because that's where you should be. You shouldn't just take what one person says. You know yourself. And sometimes it's those hard choices of figuring out if you should or should not use them. If you feel like there is even a little chance, or if you set boundaries of when you can use it, and hey, this is going a little too far, I need to just cut them up right here, right now, then do it. That's what this right here is. It's my credit card Hall of Shame. It's all of my cut up credit cards. Now I call it my Hall of Shame, but it's also just a daily reminder of where I don't want to go back to. I don't want to go back to being in debt with these cards. I want to be better. I don't want to have as many as I did. I'm okay with just having 2 with smaller limits, which I'm sure will eventually keep going up, because that's another thing is when the credit cards, you're paying your monthly payments and you're not missing them and you're just spending, credit card companies will start giving you bigger and bigger and bigger credit limits, which seems like, oh wow, I have even more that I can use now. I can start paying the rest off. I don't have to worry about it. Again, not what they're betting on. They're betting that you go up even higher from your original $5,000 to $10,000, especially with, like I said, that 29% interest. That's gonna start looking closer to $30,000 to $40,000 fast, especially when you start paying them off. Now, when it comes to that psychological fake money, how many Amazon packages have you really ordered in the past few weeks on a credit card compared to how many you would want to spend on a debit card? Same way if you go to the grocery store, if you go to your favorite place to shop. When it's that fake money, it feels like you're spending so much more than what you should be or what you really can be. That's because you're not seeing it come straight out, and it's more of like a payment plan psychologically in your mind. And that can get out of hand fast. So at the end of the day, it's this. Credit cards are not evil. They can be a great source and a great tool to be able to use. But if you can't, then they can make you feel like dirt. They can make it feel like you will never get out of this cycle, and they can make it feel like you are never going to be able to pay off anything. So at the end of the day, it's about what is best for you. What can you handle? What are you financially able to do? And there's a lot of great tools out there to be able to really test that. If you are going to be using a credit card, before you ever make the purchase, make sure that you go ahead and set the money aside that you're going to use. See that come straight out of your bank account into a different account that you can't touch. That way you can immediately pay it off. If you're not able to do that, then you're not using the credit card. But it's going to come down to what you know about yourself. So if you want to learn more about that, be sure to check out other videos on my channel. That way you can have the best personal finance preparedness no matter what age you are, whether you're trying to grow it or whether you're trying to get back to solid ground. Thanks for watching today, guys. I'll see you next time.